But here to help put that in perspective and talk about the state of our intelligence and the battle against ISIS, Lisa Ruth, former CIA analyst. Lisa, Colonel North questions what we can trust from this administration when it comes to handling the situation with ISIS in the Middle East. Is it a truth deficit coming from this administration and specifically from the White House?
I think in this particular case, it may be more of a lack of understanding or knowledge, even from the administration. You know, we're talking about an area that we know is controlled by ISIS, by the enemy, if you will. And when you drop in weapons or aid or anything else, I think we have to be realistic and understand that there's a really good chance that this is going to fall there. Now, if we remember back, the reason we aren't arming these moderate fighters in the area is because we're concerned that the weapons are going to fall into the hands of ISIS. I don't really understand why you would think anything different about dropping anything else in. That said, I think we're operating blindly in a lot of ways in terms of intelligence, information, and you know, they may not know what's going on.
Well, CNN's chief national security correspondent Jim Sciutto weighed in on this situation. Let's listen to what he had to say.
But I am told by Pentagon officials that if ISIS did indeed get it, and these things do look authentic, that it's not militarily significant in the whole scheme of things there, partly in light of the fact that ISIS has already captured a tremendous amount of American-supplied weapons in Iraq when you think of all those Humvees and other things we've seen in their hands.
Not militarily significant. That phrase kind of hangs there. When there are loads of grenades and weapons and they end up in the hands of the other guy to rationalize it with, well, they already have their hands on other weapons. That's a curious way to try to make a case.
I think it's ridiculous. And true, this may not be the tipping point in winning the war, but that's really not the point. The point is how secure are weapons going into the area, and I think you have to say not very secure. Militarily significant, I'm not sure that that's what really matters here. The point is, we don't want to be helping to arm ISIS, whether it's small arms, large arms, or anything else. I just don't think that, I think that's kind of a ridiculous thing to say.
Candy Crowley, also of CNN, had something to say. Let's take a listen to her comment.
This is going to be a long battle against ISIL. They are a brutal entity. They have no regard or very little regard.
I'm sorry, that's my old colleague from Congress, New York Congressman Joseph Cowley. I apologize for that mistake. What he is saying, essentially, though, on MSNBC is that, quote, sometimes mistakes happen. Okay, we know that, but just the whole highlight of this and the fact that ISIS even uses social media, prepares a video saying, hey, thanks very much, in terms of the battle of perception, they really have a leg up there in their use of social media.
Absolutely, and I know we're going to talk about Canada in a minute here, but I think that the social media not only hearts and minds, but it is a recruitment tool. I think looking at this situation, again, I'm just perplexed. If nothing else, I think we have to say, all right, it was a mistake, but we have to own up to it. We have to do better. And I'm not sensing that this idea of this isn't acceptable and we have to do better. Instead, it's a lot of, oh, well, sorry about that, our mistake, didn't mean to do it. And that's just not okay. We need to work to try to make sure this doesn't happen again.
To that end, we come back first, last, and always with intelligence. Mm-hmm. Do we have anybody on the ground there giving us the lay of the land, pardon the pun? Because it seems like we're just, given the attitude of the Pentagon, it's, well, hit or miss, and if we miss, well, we'll go back and try again.
The answer to that is, of course, very, very difficult. And we do know the Kurds have been helping, for example, to send in aid and drones and that kind of thing. But in terms of actual assets on the ground, we know for a fact that after bin Laden, we lost almost all of our terrorist sources, and those are very difficult to get back. So my guess is we're operating blind, or at least with one eye closed.
Well, so much for all the folks who thought we could sit back, and no offense to those who sat at Langley and were analysts, but you need to be on the ground some places, and we don't have that going on. Tell you what, we're asking you to stay, Lisa, and we're going to talk about what happened in Canada yesterday. In the meantime, are you satisfied with the way the battle against ISIS is being waged by our military and intelligence departments? Why don't you tweet me your comments at NewsmaxTV, hashtag America's Forum. There's also NewsmaxTV.com/comment. And don't forget Facebook, Facebook.com/Newsmax. We're coming back with more on America's Forum.